All right. All right, we are live. So today we'll be discussing the lesson 2 of PMP Journey, starting the project. Okay. So when we start the project, we need to know what are the key. Okay. Again. So in today's lecture, we will be discussing how we will be starting a project. And as per the PMI methodology, we need to start the project by identifying our stakeholders. Okay. So what is a stakeholder? A stakeholder is any person, organization who has a stake in our project. Either they have a positive stake or they may have a negative stake. Like they have some benefit out of the project they will be getting, or they may be getting some harm out of the project. So they may become our positive stakeholders or they may become our negative stakeholder, depending on what kind of stake they have. Okay. So we will be discussing the strategies, how we'll be identifying our stakeholders, and then how we will be effectively engaging with them. Then we will be discussing about how to form a team. We can't do a project management, or project is not a one person task, right? It's set of tasks, it's set of responsibilities. So we need a team to deliver the objectives of the project. So we'll discuss how we can form a team, engage a team, get a team onboarded, motivated, keep uh, aligned with the project goals, and then take care of the team about their training needs, about their work-life balance, their motivation, their benefits. We also need to take care of them. And then we'll discuss about these team dynamics as well, such as conflicts between the team. And part of the starting the project is to build the shared understanding about the project goals. So this is important, that you have common goal. All of us know what we are going to deliver. So this can be achieved only by a leader who understands the project at first place. What are the key objectives of the project? What is the link of this project with the organizational strategy? And then he can impart or share or transfer this understanding to all the team members so that they can also become his team, and then they can also make this goal their own goal. So this is important to develop the shared understanding. And when we know what to do, we can sit and devise a strategy and approach how we can do it. So then lastly, we'll be discussing various approaches, various alternatives, that how things can be done. So we'll be discussing about identifying the stakeholders, engaging with them, forming a team, building shared understanding, and then understanding the approach, whether we are going to deliver this project in the predictive way, iterative way, or incremental way. So let's understand how we can identify the stakeholders, and later we will discuss how we can assess their engagement and then keep them engaged during the project. So who are our stakeholders? It can be the end users for who we are delivering or developing the systems or delivering the project. End users could be the beneficiaries. If you are constructing a park as the result of the project, then the community members who will be benefiting from the park will become your stakeholders. If you are doing the project for a bank and bank is your customer and you are delivering a system, so the customer is um, your stakeholder. If you are doing the project for your own employees, so you are bringing a system for their benefit management, for their HR management, inquiries management, whatever, or you are bringing a new customer relationship management system, whichever system you are bringing, the people who will be benefiting from that system will become your stakeholders.
Stakeholders.
If you are doing for some other organizations, some for-profit, non-for-profit organizations, then those organizations will join hand with you. All will become your stakeholders. So,
Stakeholders.
in fact, everybody is your stakeholder, directly or indirectly. Sometimes the people who have nothing to do with your project are the only people who are not your stakeholders, but everybody is a stakeholder, whether it is sponsor, business partners, suppliers, uh, from whom you acquire the product, machinery, equipment, manpower, all become your stakeholders, right? Government entities, community for which you are delivering the services, social society for which you are delivering the services, goods, whatever, and your key team and your team members and your managers. So everyone will become your stakeholder, right?
Right.
Okay. So now, what do you think? Which are typically part of your team out of these groups which are mentioned here, end user, customer, employees, which are typically project team members and which are not?
According to me, any any anyone who has any type of interest in the project is can be a stakeholder.
Yeah. So out of these, you could involve employees, end
Yes,
users,
customer,
uh,
organization,
right?
government.
Definitely, you will not have sponsors or suppliers, I mean, government as your team members, but you can have some contractors, suppliers, business partners, even organization employees and end user part of your team delivering the project results.
Right.
And these are the people who are typically active in the project. Sometimes you may have sponsor from time to time taking part in the project as well. Some government entities, if it is uh, construction of a bridge, if it is government project, then definitely you need to interact with government bodies for approvals. So, so all in all, whenever there is a dependency on some person, organization, entity, enterprise, internally or external to the project, then you're gonna add them in your stakeholder register.
Stakeholders.
So I just said stakeholder register. So out of these artifacts which are mentioned here, like stakeholder register, stakeholder engagement plan, communication management plan, stakeholder engagement assessment matrix, and assessment grids. These are the things which we will be studying during the today's class and further. So when we identify the stakeholders or when we need to identify the stakeholders, we have to do some document analysis. So which are the documents by the start of the project? If you remember, we said that project exists because there is a, who can answer this? Project exists because there is a business case, because
Business
business
case.
case has the justification of the project. And then much before the project charter is created, you have business case and benefit management. These are the two documents, artifacts that will always be the starting point of the project. Like what is the cost benefit analysis? What is the business case of the project? And then how we see the benefits roadmap, like how benefits will be ensured over the period of the time during the project, after completion of the project. within 1 year of the project completion, within 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, we need to see the roadmap. So that's your benefit management. And then you need to look into uh, these documents to look for the stakeholders, to look who are the parties which were pushing for this project. Like, was this R&D department who proposed this project? Was it marketing? Was it sales? Was it customer project? So you will get some RFP requirement, request for proposal documents. You will see these documents and you will get to know the parties involved in the project. So from there, you can understand who are my stakeholders, internal and external. And you can look into these documents and get to know what are the interests of these stakeholders. So if it is any party entity, internally or externally, you need to see how much involvement they have, how much dependency they have on each other, and how much influence this stakeholder can derive from. So identifying is first part, but assessing the stakeholder for the relevant interest in the project, like which part of the project they are interested in, and what is their involvement level, right? Their interest level. And then how many dependencies we have on those stakeholders, and how much influence this particular stakeholder can derive, or we can derive from the stakeholder. Like, is he influential? Is he higher in the organization? Is he having power? So we need to understand their influence level. Yes, Ashlan, you want to say something?
No.
Okay. And then what is the potential impact on the project success? So if you have power, if you have interest, if you have legitimacy, right? If you have, then you can drive some influence and you can impact the project out. So I can get your support to push forward the project objectives and get the project done in lesser the time, quicker, faster, cheaper, because you have got the power, right? So if you are on my side, we can push the project together. So this is a big question. A powerful stakeholder, influential stakeholder, how you can buy his uh, support to push forward your project together with you. That's a challenge. That's where we see we need to engage with them and effectively engage with them and early on engage with them when we need them. So now the bigger question is that who are your stakeholders? And most important is to identifying them early on in the project so that you should not get later on some surprises that somebody you could not identify in the beginning and he is coming in the end of the project with some requirements when you don't have time to deliver those. So you need to identify your stakeholders early on so that you know who are the people you need to consult for the requirements of the project, for the review of the deliverables, for user acceptance testing, for completion of the project, their approval is necessary. So you need to know them so that you can engage with them during the project and finally deliver them the project products and services. So identifying is done. Then next comes the assessment of the stakeholders. So I need to assess them. So I need to gather some data about them, like what is their position in the organization, like where does they belong in the hierarchy. Their stakeholder may be a CEO, a sponsor, a director, a manager, right? So I need to see what is the where is the position of the stakeholder in the organizational hierarchy. So to do so, I can do questionnaires, I can ask people, I can create survey, and I can brainstorm. These are some of the methods which I can use. What I need to assess, my purpose is that I need to know the power
Our
level of the stakeholder, how much power he or she has, or how much interest they have, right? And how much impact they have,
impact.
and how much influence they have. So these are the things which I need to assess to formulate later on to formulate the relationship between. So definitely with the key powerful people, with the people who have interest in the project as well as they have the power and they have the influence, I definitely will have to establish a close working relationship. So once we know where they fall in these categories, we can plot them. So the plotting will become like a matrix. We can create a quick matrix between power and interest level, and then we can plot into the like this stakeholder falls under, let's say, um, in the power interest grid, they fall under, let's say, top right corner, and we can say that, okay, we will manage them closely because they have got the power as well as they have the interest in the project. So if you see those stakeholders which have high power, let's say they fall here, this area, and they have high interest, right? So top right corner, we need to manage them closely. By the way, this power interest grid can be any grid. It can be either power interest grid or power influence grid or impact influence grid. The strategy will remain same. We will manage top right corner closely. The bottom left corner we will monitor only. Okay. The bottom right corner we will keep them informed because they have got the interest, but they don't have the power.
Power.
So
Yes.
the people who are simply interested, we may need to keep them informed or monitor them. But who are having the power but may not have interest, we need to keep their interest safe. We need to keep them satisfied. Or who also have the interest, we need to manage them closely. They will be helpful. And then these are the 2D grids. But there is a third type of grid, which is cubicle, which also take into account the attitude of the stakeholder. So along with the power and the interest, we have the third dimension, which is the attitude of the stakeholder. So attitude can be he is a neutral, he is a supportive, he
Yes.
is supportive, and he is resistant, maybe negative stakeholder, maybe positive stakeholder, maybe negative stakeholder, or maybe
Unaware.
neutral. Yeah, maybe neutral.
Yes.
And maybe unaware, you're right. Maybe unaware of the project. All right. So we'll see. So this is 2D and 3D grid. And let's look into some of the other things. You can stop me if you need to ask any question.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we talked about one key document, which is stakeholder register, and it looks like this, the matrix in front of you. It has the name of the stakeholder, whether it is internal stakeholder, external stakeholder, their position in the organization, which is the title,
Yes.
and then we have the role in the project, like they are, a CEO can be a sponsor, a chair or board of director can be your um,
Local partner.
internal strategic, uh, I would say, steering committee member, or may not be. Then steering committee might report to the board of directors and the chairs about the project, depending on if it is a strategic nature project. Then you may have some
Product
product
owner.
owner, portfolio owner, budget controller, legal expert, marketing expert, vendors, suppliers. All these are your stakeholders, which have different roles. And then what do you need? What they need from you? Sponsor need a successful completion. So this is their interest, that they want successful completion. You should complete within the time, budget. That's all they need. A product owner might be interested in the uh,
High
in in
profile.
in in, in the high profile time. Yeah, if it is a kind of a project which is mentioned, then it might be their interest. Similarly, different type of stakeholders may have different type of interests and expectations from you. And what is their attitude? Look, if it can be a champion, supportive, resistor, neutral, champion, supportive, resistor, neutral. So they may be supporting the project like a champion, or just simply a supporter, or they may be resistor, right? They may be negatively impacting the project. So you need to see. They may be neutral, they don't have any concern about the project, or they may be unaware of the project. So this is their engagement level.
Okay.
All right. So you keep on adding the information in your stakeholder register. So you identified the stakeholders, but you don't know them. So you will do some brainstorming. You will sit with the people until you fill this chart. So until you know their title, whether they are internal or external, what is their role in the project, what are their major requirements, what are their major expectations, and their current attitude towards the project. So this is the first thing you as a project manager will do, because remember, once you came, the business case might have already be there. The benefit management plan might have already be there, because maybe before you there was a business analyst who worked with the sponsor and who created those documents. Okay, but your job is that you need to get the things done with the by engaging with people, whether it is your team or your organization or external people, internal people. So you need to know them. So first you need to know who are the key people, and then what is their position, whether they are internal or external, what is their role in the project, what are the major requirements, what are their major requirements, because stakeholders are the people who give us the requirements, right? And then what are their expectations, and you need to map, assess and map. Everything is not just uh, a template. You need to assess and map their current level of engagement. Like, are they aware of the project, champion, supportive, resistor, neutral? So for
Neutral.
all of these stakeholders, you need to have an essence, like whether they are pro project or against project. Getting my point, right?
Yes.
Cool. You can do this kind of document for your projects from now onward.
Yes. If
Good,
we get any project.
good, good. All right. Now we talked about the power, interest, and influence. These are the key three things. We have seen the 2D grids like power interest
2D.
or power influence or impact influence. And we have seen the third dimension, which is the attitude of the state. Now, direction of the influence. So now when you say how influential a stakeholder is, right? It can be an upward influence, like they know many people in the senior management, or they have downward influence, right?
Teammates.
So they may be technical experts and then the team needs them. Or you may have a stakeholder which has outward influence, right? So it may be
Clients.
people who are the clients, end users, external parties, and um, and sideward. Hmm? So from where you can get influence, right? You can get influence by the people who are your peer project managers, right? The functional heads, the department, uh, other departments. So they can become your stakeholders, right? So you need to see that uh, your communication is happening upward, downward, outward, sideward, and your stakeholders are all those people who you are communicating in all these directions. And these are the directions of either you influencing them or you getting influenced, and ultimately your project getting influenced, right?
Yes.
So we have a model called salience model. And when we are assessing stakeholders, so remember we are trying to assess the stakeholder, and then we'll accordingly deal with the stakeholder. So uh, so in order to assess the stakeholders, we need to categorize them, or we may categorize them based on the urgency of the stakeholder, legitimacy of the stakeholder, and
Power.
power of the stakeholder. So what do we mean by urgency? So it means that we know that they have a stake. So how high their stake is, how much uh, quick access to information they need, right? So they may be very particular that they need it now, right? And the level of detail they need, so maybe very detailed information they may need, right? And there is
Yes.
a time constraint, like you need to give this information now when we are talking. So this kind of urgency, who can demand this type of urgency, right? A person uh, who is a key person in the organization, right? Or at least whoever demands the urgency, you can put them in this big circle of orange color. And then you can see the people of power. Now, the people of power, they may have high authority in the project, right? But they may not come and demand the information directly from you as the people who are urgent, demanding it with urgency, right? So powerful people may or may not demand the information urgently, right? So you can plot the powerful people under the below circle, or you can mark them. And the people with legitimacy are who are involved in the project. So
Involvement.
you see the people who have interest, who have been with you working closely. So these are the people who are having legitimacy. So now, if you see, if I have to, I have a list of stakeholders and I have categorized them with A, B, C, D. So I can put a stakeholder right here, that this stakeholder is A, which falls under power.
Power
They
and
have power, they have
urgency.
urgency. I may have a stakeholder who falls under this. They may have power and legitimacy. I may have stakeholder who fall under this. He may have legitimacy but no power, no urgency. I may have a stakeholder here who has urgency but
Urgency.
no power.
No power.
I
No
may
urgency.
have a stakeholder F who has power but no
Only
urgency.
power.
I may have a stakeholder here who have got all. This is a scary man because he has,
Dangerous.
yeah, he has everything. He has
Yes.
uh, what you say,
Urgency.
urgency, legitimacy, and
Power.
power, right? So XYZ, these are the stakeholders who are uh, called, in other terms, these are called definitive stakeholders. So when you interact with them, you give higher importance to these group of stakeholders which are having all
Having all.
this, all these three things, right? As per the salience model, you may give them all your attention, whoever falls under this, because he has got the urgency, he has got the legitimacy, and he has got the power,
Power.
right?
Yes.
So that's how you give them the ultimate importance. All right, cool. Any question?
No question.
Usman, you there?
from my side.
Yeah, all good.
All good? Okay. Now, stakeholders' perceptions. All right. So, people in the organization are really strange. They may have some perception about how competent you are, some assessment of you being a leader, uh, whether they trust you, they have doubts, they may think that you're going to deliver the project late, or they may trust you that yes, you will deliver the project on time. So, all these perceptions are not just mere perceptions, but these can really make or break. You know, these perceptions need to be managed well. What do you think? Right?
Right.
To understand the stakeholders' perception about you being a leader and you being a competent leader to deliver the project objectives, and you may be perceiving stakeholders as positive, but they may have negative stakes, right? They may have
Yes,
positive stakes, they may have negative stakes. So you need to manage the perceptions, right?
yes. First need to identify the stakeholder, then analyze, then select, then you can run that one, run that thing, then review it.
True. True. So while you are identifying and assessing them, also uh, have a perception about them, like whether they are positive stakeholders, negative stakeholders, and
Totals, neutrals.
give them uh, some good impression of you being a leader. Like, yeah, you are in charge, you are in control, you have understood the requirements, and give them some confidence. So you give them good vibes, right?
Yes,
It's all about perception management. Like people who you see do nothing, but they have created this persona of them being in control, right?
yes,
So understand this. This is very important. Do nothing, keep busy, right?
yes. We should disclose these type of persons or these type of personalities in front
Yeah.
of management, in front of everyone.
Okay,
On the back
but
end, they are using us, right?
yeah, so very true. So now capture stakeholders' feedbacks and perceptions. How? Through engaging with them, using your interpersonal skills, your listening skills, active listening skills, your emotional intelligence, and your effective communication methods. You need to capture stakeholders' feedback and their perceptions.
Mm.
From your key stakeholders, you may talk about the vision, the project requirements, and how they would like you to communicate with them. And from all stakeholders, uh, you may be thinking about the ways to communicate with them. And for the general public, you may approach them with the questionnaires, surveys, conversation, in person, online, through campaigns, through websites. What you will be achieving uh, to get their feedback, to know their perceptions, what market says about you, what people say about the project. It's a construction of a bridge for the country, right? For the city, municipality. So you need to know what public talks about this. What are the digital media saying? What people are saying on the social media. So you need to gather from the large and the public groups, you need to gather the perception, right? What is the market pulse? What are the people thinking through the social media? And from all stakeholders, you will be concerning, concerned about how well you will be communicating with them, their communication. As per their communication preference, you will be approaching them and getting their feedback. And from the key stakeholders, you can have one-to-one interview. You can understand the vision, their requirements. Um, so this is how to capture the feedback and the perception of the stakeholders, either through one-to-one interviews or through various digital mediums. Now, two more important plans that we will be talking is the stakeholder engagement plan and communication management. Now, stakeholder engagement plan means that you identified the stakeholders and you assessed the stakeholders. Now it's the time to engage with them. So based on the data that you gathered about the stakeholders, you will devise the effective strategy for engaging with them. So that's an important plan, that each type of stakeholder, depending on where their their as is situation is, they are powerful, they are influential, but they are unaware about the project. So you need to devise a strategy that where you want them to be. And then if you want them to be leading in the project, right now they are unaware about it. So then you need to think about number of ways how you can get them interested, involved, and then ultimately uh, leading in the project. So that's gonna be a long journey, right? And then communication management plan talks about their communication preferences, which communication method they as an individual they prefer. Some people prefer emails. Some people prefer you approach them directly. You go
Yes,
talk
face
with
to
them.
face.
Some people like walk the talk, right? They want you be able to explain them every now and then, and they need the information on daily basis. Some people communicate on the Teams, Zoom. They are comfortable on the email. They want weekly updates. Some people want daily updates. Some people want monthly updates. Some people want to be engaged when and where needed. So it all depends upon different communication styles, communication methods, communication frequencies. So we talk about all this in the communication. So when we want to assess communication requirements, so we need to understand the what is in it for me. For example, if I am circulating an information, so I need to see that who is the audience and what is in it in this message for them. So let us be very clear what are the communication needs of our stakeholders, right? So what you are communicating external partners, they have nothing to do with the internal uh, organizational discussions. So you just need to communicate with them the part of scope that they are involved. Similarly, uh, the people who are internal to your organization, you may not need to share something which is particularly for the external stakeholders. So being in charge of the communication wholly solely as a project manager, you are in control of the communications of the project as well. But you need to assess that right information reaches the right audience at the right time in the right format,
Yes.
right?
First to identify it, then analyze it, then make a plan, then review it, then run it, then run and then review.
Wow, cool. What a five-step process. Uh, Very good, very good. Exactly. So that's how you will uh, devise it and then run. So now enable effective choices about communication topics. So frequency of the communication is important. Like you will communicate daily basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, and then communication technology. Communication technology means that you will be using Microsoft Teams, Jira, Confluence, Basecamp, Microsoft Azure, telephone, fax, voice message. WhatsApp, Slack message, Zoom call, or face to face? What is the way you will be communicating with them? And yeah, also, ultimately, you will devise a document which will be your communication, which can be a great questionnaire survey that will document the communication and the technology requirements for each stakeholder. All right. Now, what are the communication methods? As I said, face to face is the best communication method. You walk in and then you talk in a meeting or one to one communication. Or you may have a video conference when your team is distributed across the continents or different countries. So you can do the video conference. So maybe within the project requirements, you may be communicating with people on the video conference who may not be the remote people, who may be your peers, or you can call them. You may use the website, social media. Some projects have their own specific pages where they communicate. You can communicate through instant messaging, whatever method, email, fax. You may communicate without, you can say, non-verbal communication. Like you just use the body language and then your message is loud and clear, right? Or you may use the whiteboards to communicate the information. So these are all the methods through which you can communicate. So when we communicate using these methods, either we are pulling the information or pushing it. So when I call you, I push the information. When I send an email, I'm pushing the information, right? When I pull the information, it means that I will go to some common folder or SharePoint site and I will download the information. That means that whenever I need it, I will go and download. That's a pull communication.
Okay.
Agile teams by book, they are co-located. They are at the same place for better collaboration. They are put under one room. It's most of the time possible, but not possible all the times that you put a team under one roof. So with the uh, when Corona came, we became more uh, vigilant, and now we can work remotely as well. Being agile doesn't mean that you will be always co-located. You can be a remote team member, but you can still be agile because the technology has advanced to such an extent that we are almost connected throughout the day with the remote team members as well. But preferably, agile emphasizes co-location of the team members for smooth communication and collaboration. So when you communicate, there are certain communication challenges, which means that there can be the information is so urgent that you need to give it now, and that's one aspect of the information. Or you may not have, or you may have the information technology, like you may have an account on Slack and then you can do instant messaging. You may not have an account on Slack and you may not be able to do that. So availability of the devices like laptops or access to the tools like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and this is technology, right?
Yes.
This is technology, and how competent you are with different type of technologies. So you may find people who are not familiar, and there is nothing to judge. Some type of tools are actually new tools in one part of the world, and these are very common tools in the other part of the world. So it all depends on what kind of tools you are exposed to, and how much ease uh, you are. It is easy for you to use them, right? Yeah. So also we need to understand the language when we communicate, that the accent in which we communicate, the language, the formal or informal language in which we communicate in the context of the project environment, it all varies, right? We may have team members who are distant team members who have different language. not only the accent, but altogether different language, right?
Yeah.
So you need to care about that cultural sensitivity. There is a cultural sensitivity as well, and sensitivity of confidentiality of information, right? Not everything can be communicated or should be communicated. There are sensitive things, sensitive data about the project, uh, which might be numbers, which might be things I'm here talking about. We are transparent, but uh, we have some data that need to be, these are proprietary data that need to stay within the organization. It should not be communicated across the, so it's a communication challenge that you need to know what data is sensitive and cannot be communicated because it is confidential.
Okay.
And then you have some protocols, part of your organizational process assets. You may have different social medias, so you may or may not use Microsoft Team because uh, of where these servers are located. You may be allowed or you may not be allowed. Uh, you may be using Slack, but your organization policy might not allow you to use Slack anymore. So you will need to stop it because maybe the servers or the information where the Slack is hosted may not be in the continent that you are. So there might be some rules that you cannot communicate on certain tools and you can communicate on certain tools, right? So there is a data protection law that is intact. And then how much accessible the information you have, you may be having different levels of accessibility. Like I have all maybe the fields or the features available, but you may have less features and fields visible to you within the given context. So different people with different levels have different access to information. All right. Any question?
No, no. From my side, no.
None so far.
Okay. Now, communication model is between a receiver and transmitter whenever we communicate. So a person who is communicating uh, at first, he is encoding his thoughts into words or language, and then sending through the medium to the receiver, and receiver is decoding the words back into thoughts. So what is being used? A language. So language is the algorithm we use to encode a thought into words, and then language is an algorithm we use to decode a word into thoughts. So
Yes.
this is how information gets communicated or transferred from transmitter to the receiver or sender to the receiver. Uh, well, there will be noise when you are transferring this information. So the noise can be added because there is actual noise while transmitting, which can be uh, due to the line distortion or
Question of signals.
due to the actual noise around when you are communicating face to face, or there may be some cultural differences. There may be um biases, assumptions. When you communicate with certain people or certain cultures, you may have some biasness, right?
Language barrier.
So, which may, through which you may be judged and assessed and then getting the response back, right? You may be have asking a question, but the other party is assessing the need of the information and judging why you are asking this and then why you need this information before getting into the question. Right? So think of an example when you particularly face kind of a noise. That that was due to cultural barrier, that may be due to the distance where you are communicating, correct? This happens, right?
Yes, happens. Language
Yeah,
barrier can be one more factor, right?
correct, correct. You may not be able to receive the message. It may entirely fail. So what we need to do, so if I say hello, you say hello, and I hear it back, so it's an acknowledgement, right? So there is a loop which is completed, right? So that feedback, that acknowledgement is important, and the feedback means that you ask cross questions. So the better way is that if you have what is the effective communication, which means that the communication happened, it means that you receive a cross question. So if you received a cross question, it means that the other person have understood the previous message and then he asked another person, right? So that's a feedback message. So you receive, you sent, and then there is an acknowledgement back, which is, yeah, I understood. But if I processed it and I ask another question, that means I am giving the feedback, right?
Yes.
So that's how the cross-cultural communication happens. Now, now you know the stakeholder, who are your stakeholders, you have assessed them, you have grouped them, and now you have to formulate the engagement strategy with, right? So you need to involve them in your meetings. You need to get up to the from your seat and go and walk and talk with them, maybe uh, for a coffee break, lunch break, smoke break, wherever you get in touch with them, you need to establish a relationship with them. If they are internal, if they're external, you need to set up meetings with them. Uh, Engagement means from time to time you need to ask what are their needs being met, is there anything you can do for them, so that they feel involved, important, right? So that's how you engage with them. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that one-to-one relationship is important. Like look at this guy who is standing away from everybody, right?
Yes.
Is he engaged?
No.
No, right? So is he in the circle? No. So he
No.
has to find a way, a place to get close to the people with his own interpersonal skills so that they can engage easily with him and he can engage easily with them. Otherwise, he will always be perceived, perception, perceived as arrogant, proud, confined with his own self. But now he has to come in the social circle.
But if he has a power factor, then he has
Now,
power. Then
I tell you, one person gave me a uh, uh, very good answer when I asked him this question. He was senior to me. So we were going to a meeting with CEO, and he was really cool guy, and he was like so uh, relaxed. And then I asked him, "What do you think? Where are you going?" So he said, "Listen, my friend, CEO is an employee and I am also an employee. So for me, he is also an employee, any other employee.
but he has power.
Well, well, he has power, but he is other employee of the organization, like you.
Yes. Yes.
We all are employees, right? End of the day, we all are employees. We all are getting salaries. We are doing our different jobs. So he said, even if he is CEO, but he is the employee of the organization.
Yes.
So this is how you see. So this is how you can break the mental barrier that you have placed between you and the people. Because of their power, you cannot communicate. You can communicate because all of you are,
Maybe.
you fall in this
Yes.
group, and in this group people communicate, right?
Maybe his
So I
attitude is
remember
not good.
me standing
And
outside our vice president office and thinking 10 times, shall I enter? Shall I not enter? Shall I enter? Shall I not enter? Even if I have a meeting, even if I have been, uh, their secretary, I already inquired about their presence and they're free. Even then, I didn't had the courage at times, if I see myself 10, 12 years before, to just, storm in or get into in front of them and talk with them, right? So that's anxiety is the self-built anxiety which I used to, he used to be waiting for me. And then I used to postpone the meetings so that I could avoid him.
So
So
sometimes
anyways,
we are, yes, sometimes we are thinking about that maybe he's arrogant and he's the one who is making the barrier between them just because of power, you know. So
maybe or may not be. So the thing is that test your assumptions. Test your assumptions.
yes,
You know,
this is
whatever
exactly
you are assuming, most of our problems are because of our assumptions. So don't
yes,
assume,
sir.
just test it.
Okay.
Now,
I will.
stakeholder engagement and assessment matrix, C matrix, is an excellent way to plot the people. We don't need the names. We just need to see the people where they are as of now. What is their current engagement level? So I would say if stakeholder one uh, is currently unaware, and what is the desired level that I want him to be supportive. This
Supportive
is D for desire and C for current,
for current. Yes.
right? And then I may find a certain stakeholder two who is currently resistant. I want to neutralize him,
Okay.
right? Or maybe I have a stakeholder which is currently resistant and I want him all the way leading, right? Desired level.
Big
So
task.
yeah. So this means a lot of work because I need to neutralize first, and then I need to make him supportive, and then ultimately I need to make him leading.
Amazing.
So it's
Yes.
a hard job, right? I may have to work double the way than if I need to neutralize. And then being unaware doesn't mean that I need to first move to the resistant column. I may uh, make
Neutral.
a person who is unaware. I may not make him neutral, definitely. A person
Supportive.
who is unaware, I may like to make him supportive. All
Supportive.
my all
Yes.
my requirements are that I want everyone to be supportive, right? At least
Yes.
supportive. If not leading, then everyone to be supportive. That could be my desired outcome. So my engagement strategy will decide it. So all the stakeholders, I need to assess them where they currently lie. Maybe a stakeholder is neutral already, and I need to make them supportive. Correct,
Small
Arslan?
effort. Yes. Small efforts.
Small effort, yeah. And definitely no other way around, right? A person who is leading, I may not ever want in my, uh,
Resistant.
in my all senses to make him resistant or unaware, right? It's not the
Yes.
other way around, right? I would not like someone who is leading to at least, be neutral or resistant.
Yes.
Definitely not. So stakeholder engagement assessment matrix actually helps me to achieve this objective. All right.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
questions?
No.
No? All right. Cool. All right. So I think it's enough for today.
Yes. I think enough
Okay.
for and
Yeah, I think it's enough for
evening.
today. If
Evening
you
class
guys
is
have
long.
any question, then I can take the questions.